I'm just here for the truth, no matter how strange or bizarre it is. What the hell was that?
You just said...
All right, let's just start from the beginning.
Hello, everyone. DJ Nubis here with you on the Metal Tornado podcast with an interview with the lovely and talented Lyndsey Craine. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. That was really cool, by the way. That edit was...
Yeah, I
wasn't
figured I'd
expecting
try to put
that,
something together, a little collage for you, the stuff you worked on.
Oh, thank you.
Obviously, you worked on films like Book of Monsters, How to Kill Monsters, Eating Miss Campbell. Fortunately, I've not gotten around to seeing a lot of your other material, but I remember in 2023 or 24, I did a trailer reaction to How to Kill Monsters. I kept saying to myself, I've got to see this. It looks like so much fun. So I thank you again for sitting down with me. I really, really appreciate taking the time for this. So obviously, most recently, when Mr. Tony the Dead and I would do a little segment called The Ghouls of Midnight, I picked to review How to Kill Monsters, and we both loved it a lot. Just a quick question and background for people that are going to watch this. Like, how did you get started in acting? And was that always your passion, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, acting has always been something that I've wanted to do. So I did a film and TV production course at university, but it was more sort of behind the scenes stuff. So I kind of got more into production design side, costume, things like that. But I slowly realized actually it's in front of the camera that I really wanted to do. And I think it was more of a confidence thing and thinking I'll never be able to do it. But I remember being a kid sort of watching things on TV and realizing, oh, wait, that's a job. You can do that. And I used to act out a lot of films in front of the TV when I was a kid. So it was always something that I wanted to do. And so when I got to university, I was doing the course and I ended up acting in a lot of the short films. And just gone on from there, really, just met some incredible filmmakers and got my husband is the director of Book of Monsters and How to Kill Monsters, and we met at university. So we've kind of worked our way together. And yeah, so it's just been meeting people and networking and just trying to make it happen, really. And it's been a crazy journey because I never expected to end up in horror because I wasn't into horror when I was younger at all. I was scared of everything. So it's quite ironic that I've ended up doing a lot of horror movies.
I remember seeing a piece of that where you had said you weren't really a big horror fan, but somehow you ended up in it. But that, the other thing I was going to ask you is because, you're in the industry now. One thing I do notice is even with American actors and stuff is like they generally get started in horror. So like, it's really kind of weird. Why do you think that is? Is it just because horror is a little bit easier for people to kind of get started in? Is that like how that works?
I think so. I think also horror can be, especially in the indie scene, I think it's maybe one of the cheaper things to make. So when you're just starting out, you can, I suppose you can make any sort of genre of movie, but I think when you think of indie movies, quite a lot of the time you do think of horror. So I think that's where a lot of the groundwork kind of starts. And I think it's, as you said, quite similar with actors is they get a start, working on horror movies because that's where, everyone kind of works their way up. I'd love to do a nice rom-com one day. That would be great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because, if you, when it comes to your personal taste, like what are some of your favorite movies, even if they're not horror related? Like, what are some of the favorite movies you like for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, I am more into horror now, so I do like horror movies now, which is cool. So,
That's
like, I love
great.
the Scream franchise is like my favorite ultimate horror movies,
Oh,
and
great.
that was yeah. So Scream 2 was like the only horror film I'd watched when I was younger. I was like, when I was a teenager, I was like, yeah, I can manage this one. And then my husband's like big into horror; he loves all horror, so he was like, why don't we try watching these instead? And I was like, okay. So so yeah, so to be honest, I love kind of all genres of movies. I just get so invested and just watch so much. So I've always just been a fan of watching constant movies. So yeah, it's quite broad, the things that I do enjoy.
Yeah, it was funny because obviously I had set this up with you earlier in the week to sit down with you. And on my review with Tony for your movie, How to Kill Monsters, I got a post today from Aaron Dennis. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I played Dennis in this. Thank you guys for enjoying this." So I was like, "Oh, that's so coincidental that he popped in to say something on the day that
Yeah,
I'm
that's
talking to you."
awesome.
So
Aaron's
he
great.
seems like a
He's
really
lovely.
nice guy.
He is. He's the loveliest guy, and he's so much fun to work with. He is so funny, like genuinely hilarious. The amount of scenes that we were just struggling to get to because we were laughing too much. He's a lot. Yeah, he's amazing. He's so great to work with.
Yeah, I always wondered about that because you're shooting a film, and if it's a horror comedy or even just a comedy, like how often do you have to stop because you just can't stop laughing? Like,
It's quite a few times, and I think what's quite difficult is once you get the giggles, you just can't stop. And I think it's in your head, you're going to get to that bit that made you laugh, and you're thinking,
mhm.
oh no, it's coming up, and you or sometimes I'll have to not make eye contact with the other character. I'm just going to have to look. I'm not going to look at your face because it's going to put me off. Because the minute you make eye contact, you just break. So yeah, there were a few scenes where we did struggle to get through.
Yeah, I know it's probably not on the independent film market, I don't think, but like I remember reading some about Emma Watson when she was shooting Harry Potter, and she would get the case of the giggles all the time. But they would start giving her like what's like red cards or something, like it's like a punishment
Yeah.
because you're supposed to kind of stay focused, but she couldn't do it sometimes. And I thought that was the funniest thing. He's like, "You got to stop, Emma, stop laughing."
Yeah, stop laughing. It's so hard because by a certain point, no one else is laughing except you and the other person. And you can see everyone else is like, come on, we need to film this. But
Right.
you're still thinking it's the funniest thing ever.
That's awesome. So now that you're like into horror, which is awesome,
Mhm.
do you kind of see yourself as a modern scream queen, or do you think that you might not want that typecast?
I mean, it would be an honor to get that kind of title. I could never say at this stage that I've earned that title yet, but that would be amazing. I would love to be classed as a scream queen because it's horror is so much fun to do. It genuinely is, and because I've done horror comedies and more like serious horrors as well. It's just such a good laugh, and I think that's what's great with horror is it's just such a wide spectrum of genres within horror, and I think that's
Mhm.
why so many people love it because someone can like more psychological horrors, and whereas other people like the gory kind of horror, and so it's fun to kind of watch so many of them and see how different they can be. Um, but yeah, I mean, as I said, I would love to do other genres. I'd love to do drama and yeah, romantic comedies and things like that. But don't get me wrong, I really do. I really do enjoy doing horror.
That's good. That's good. And that's I think the other thing too is a lot of the past actresses that are screen queens, they kind of take it as like a badge of honor, like what it
Mhm.
really is, because you make your staple in something, even if it wasn't intended. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely is an honor when anyone says, "Oh, yeah, you're a scream queen." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like that is cool to say.
Now you said is it Stewart is your husband?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Now was that before you all started making films, or did that happen after you started making films together?
Yeah, so we met at university. So we got together at university. So we were together long before we started making all of these movies. So we actually got engaged. I think it was a week after we finished shooting Book of Monsters. So it was that was quite nice.
Was it a
So
big celebration on set?
Yeah. So well, he had to. Yeah, it was like a weekend shoot, and he was kind of nervous. Obviously, I didn't know anything about it, and then we actually went to Disney World, and he proposed in Disney World. So, um,
That's
so yeah,
great.
which was yeah.
Congrats.
I'm a big Disney World fan. So I like all this horror, but I love Disney. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we've been together for a long time, and it's been really great kind of growing in this industry with him, and he's so unbelievably talented at what he does, and it's yeah, I feel very, very fortunate and lucky to be able to work alongside him, and that he kind of puts his faith in me and with the characters, because Book of Monsters was actually my first feature film, so I was very sort of nervous about it as well, and he just kind of has so much belief in me, and yeah, it's really great to be able to work with him like that.
Yeah, I saw you, Aaron, and him having an interview, and he seems like a really fun guy. Like he's my kind of guy. Like I know a couple like independent horror directors here in the States, and it's all kind of the same vibe. Like they just have this. You could just tell. Like he has fun with it, and he loves doing it. And so yeah, it's really cool. One thing I did really appreciate about when I was watching and listening to some of your interviews is that you enjoy practical effects, and that's something I'm very big on. I'm 55, much older, grew up in the 80s with all the 80s movies like The Howling and The Thing, and so I love all the practical effects. Why is it that you like practical effects more than the CGI? Is it because you did mention that you like seeing what's actually there?
Yeah, it's just so much better to be able to work off something that's actually in front of you. I mean, don't get me wrong, with some of the scenes with the bigger monsters, we have to, just with editing and with how to fit us all in on set, we have to act with nothing in front of us. It's just like a bit of tape or a piece of paper, and you have to scream at it or be afraid of it, and that's much harder because you've got nothing to work against. But I think having the creature in front of you and knowing exactly what it looks like, I think just really helps performance. I think it's much harder if it's like, oh, it's going to look like this, maybe, you don't fully know. And I think sometimes you're like, but what, you don't want to react in the wrong way, kind of thing. So, and it's just so much more fun to be like, okay, this is exactly what I'm up against. And, to see the talent that's gone into creating the practical creatures as well. And, especially when you've read them in the script and in your head, you're like, I wonder what it's going to look like. And then to actually see it on set rather than waiting until you see it on screen. It's it's a lot of fun. Messy, but fun.
Did they ever try to like draw out like sort of what it might look at, so you have an idea in your head, like, okay, this is what this is going to, so this is how you got to react?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I think particularly one of the creatures was in How to Kill Monsters, the slug monster.
Yeah.
When I read in the script sort of what happens with my character with that creature, I was thinking, how's this going to work? So I get dragged into the slug, and it was like, how's this slug going to work? Like, because this on set, that slug was big. It could fit like 3 people inside it.
Oh wow.
So that was a lot of fun, but it was so it's always nice, as I said, just to see them and to be able to work opposite them. I think it really aids performance, I think.
So when it comes to chemistry with your co-stars and stuff, what do you do to kind of approach that as an actress? Like, I know one thing right now, like since Book of Monsters, you've been able to work with some of the same people, so I'm assuming that makes it a little bit easier because you've already had a repertoire and whatnot. So
yeah,
with people that you haven't worked with, how do you approach that with chemistry on set?
Yeah, I think it's such a strange atmosphere when you're on set because you form friendships extremely quickly and you bond very, very quickly as well. So with Eating Miss Campbell, for example, Lala Barlow, who was playing Miss Campbell, I'd never met her before, and just instantly we clicked. It was just straight away. I think it's because we both got the vibe of our characters and we knew what was coming up, and I think you just very quickly are able to have a giggle about what you're going to be doing, and you start chatting about, what are we going to do in this scene? What will we do in this scene? And, so I think that rapport just very quickly builds. And similar with, as you've said, with starting on Book of Monsters and obviously going on to How to Kill Monsters, everyone's just there to have so much fun. And I think, so the vibe is very up. So it's just instant that you can form connections with people. You become like a family very, very quickly. And it's so lovely, particularly on longer shoots as well. Project we did last year. It was a very, very long shoot, which was great because I loved it because, again, you just really bonded with everyone. You miss them when you leave. You're like, oh no, how am I going to cope with seeing you every single day? So I think naturally I try and just we just chat constantly, you know, whether we're running lines or just getting to know each other. You know, I'm very keen to do that. So yeah, the chemistry hopefully is just easy on screen and it's just very believable. But yeah, I think people just form bonds very, very quickly. This is nice.
I assume it makes it easier for your husband too, because as a director, if he wants to do a movie, and he can say, "Hey, yeah, I got some people in mind that I've worked with before, and so I don't have to worry about them preparing because they already know what to do and what I expect, etc."
Yeah, and I think the fact that we've all worked together before, and it just it wants like, obviously he's open to working with other people, but as you said, when they're writing things and they're thinking, oh, that person would be great for this and they would be great for this. And yeah, so the Dark Rift family has grown, and it's really lovely to work with more people. And so the project we've just done is actually an interactive movie, so it's like a video game called Dead Reset. So the trailer's just come out, so it's going to come out in September. And that was a really big shoot. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. And it was a very big shoot to do, and you'll see a lot of familiar faces in it. And it was great to just get the team back together again. And I think that was very much, you know, Stewart and Paul Butler, who Stewart works with, they were just like, yeah, we know exactly who will play these characters. So
that's awesome. Let's get the band back together.
Exactly, yeah.
I did notice also, because when Tony and I were doing a review, he actually owned Book of Monsters, and I had not seen that one yet, but I thought that might be like a tie-in to How to Kill Monsters. Now I've seen that you were kind of planning on maybe doing something with like a sister or something like that. But once Stewart started talking about it, he's like, I liked how he approached it. He's like, you know, Book of Monsters was like kind of like his practice run. So he kind of had like whatever, it looked great when he did it, but when he went back, he's like, yeah, I could have did this differently or did that, which is something a director would do anyway. Even an actress or actor would do the same thing. But it started reminding me about Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, which is something that got brought up. Do you kind of see it the same way? Like he just kind of did like that was kind of like the practice run for both of you, and then when it came to How to Kill, it was like a little more polished.
Yes and no. I think it was very much, you know, there was always talks of doing a Book of Monsters 2, and I think there are aspects of How to Kill Monsters that you could definitely think, okay, that could have been in a Book of Monsters 2 sequel. But I think he was very much like, instead of making a sequel that would mean that the audience would need to watch the first one, he was like, let's just make a standalone movie, you know, that doesn't require you to go and watch another one. So I think he kind of split them in that way. But I know Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 were very much big inspirations for him. So we kind of see Book of Monsters more as, How to Kill Monsters as like a spiritual sequel. So there's a couple of like little similarities in each film. So the two policemen that arrest Jamie at the beginning are actually the policemen who are in Book of Monsters. So they're kind of like, there's little links every now and again. And there's like things in the background that'll say in the police station on a whiteboard, there's written sort of Book of Monsters, Sophie, and things like that. But it's very, you wouldn't notice it, but it's very subtle. So there's little, so it's kind of in the same universe in a way, but using different characters. Same actors but playing different characters.
They're his version of the multiverse with monsters.
Yeah. Kind of did our own like American Horror Story style where we all play different characters.
That's awesome. I like that approach. That's actually kind of good. So for yourself, acting wise, what do you find is like the biggest challenges whenever you take on a role that you're going to play?
I think quite often sort of emotional things are always difficult to do, just finding the right level of emotion that you need to go to. Because I think, especially with horror movies, you want to add as much depth to your character as possible. And I found with quite a few of the horror movies that I've been in, particularly in the horror comedy, I've played the more grounded character. So it's about just making sure that you're not going over the top or underplaying a character. Particularly in Eating Miss Campbell, my character is, despite being a cannibal herself, she is the most grounded character in the film. So it's just about getting that balance, I think, is always the most tough aspect of it. And I think, just like the emotional factor as well. And just hoping, trying to get the audience on board with your character, I think can definitely be the most challenging thing. And you just hope that the audience will be on board with what you've done. And because as I said, I didn't go to drama school, so I've kind of learned as I've gone on.
Wow, that's crazy. That actually kind of leads up to my next thing here, because your role as Jamie in How to Kill Monsters is very dynamic, because you go from being like the innocent girl that we're all believing in is fighting all these creatures to actually becoming like the demon queen. And so like I had a couple of clips I took from that really showcase how impressed I was by your acting in this. So I'm just going to show them real quick. They're not super long, but I thought it was funny because you did the 180 and then like it was like very playful and how you approach that character. So here's the first one.
Thank you.
The monster in the cabin.
So just the subtle look of like, oh really? Okay. And then this one you were kind of doing between when of course the two cop brothers are fighting the monster and stuff like that.
That was fun. Round two.
I love you, man. I love you too, brother.
So yeah, I really enjoy that whole like playful, like, yeah, I'm just gonna watch you guys try to fight. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised you don't have any background in it, but you did exceptionally well with that character.
Thank you so much.
It was so amazing. Did you know that you were going to play the Demon Queen in that way, or was that something that you and Stewart talked about beforehand?
Yeah, he'd mentioned obviously about what was going to happen with Jamie's character, and it was actually something I was the most nervous about with shooting the film, because I really wanted to make sure that nobody could guess that Jamie was actually evil. And we was really hoping that when the switch happened that people were going to be like, oh, I did not see that coming. And that was the thing I wanted to make sure I did, and to try and make obviously the characters as different as possible. So I spoke with Stuart a lot in terms of how to play evil Jamie, because I didn't want to overplay her. But equally, I didn't want to underplay it either. So it was trying to, again, find a balance between those two, because I think I could have gone really over the top with her, but I definitely didn't want to do that. I think she's just very quietly in control. You know, she's very arrogant. She's very proud of what she's done. And, I think
Yeah, it was very clever. I even liked the way that Stewart shot, like, there was a moment where you're just kind of sitting on the chair throne and your eyes are glowing green. I thought that was a really cool effect. And just how I guess you were kind of just conjuring some magic at that point or whatever. But he has a great eye for the camera. Like, he's very, very talented as a director. So the way that you both work together is just pretty flawless and amazing to me.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing Evil Jamie. I'd never played a villain before, so I was like, this is going to be fun. And as I said, it was very much because she'd manipulated the entire cast, and so when I was playing the role, there was a lot of sort of deep eye contact with all the actors, because I really wanted to, because obviously they were all upset and angry, and she was just relishing in that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. I did feel bad like killing so many of them, but it was she certainly relished in the joy of it.
She's like, I'm sorry, I gotta do this.
I gotta do this, I'm sorry.
They did kind of leave it a little open for a sequel. Is that maybe something they plan on doing?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think this has kind of become something that Stewart does, is his films end very open-ended. So everyone's always like, is there going to be a sequel? And then there never is. So I don't know whether that's just going to be something that he does.
Yeah, he's probably going to play it out for a while and say, no, I don't want a sequel. And then one day he's going to be like, we're going to do a sequel.
Yeah, let's do it again.
As an actress, obviously you're bringing a role to a film, but what do you think is the other kind of like contributions that you would bring to a film on set, like outside of the acting itself?
In terms of like other roles that I do, or
well, just like one actress I interviewed a while back, Angel Bradford. She's another one of these young starlets in the independent horror scenes, and she does a little bit of like acting plus the special effects. She works as a special effects artist a little as well. So I didn't know if there's like something else that you do while you're there on the set as well, like that, or
Yeah, so for Book of Monsters and How to Kill Monsters, I didn't really do anything more than the acting side of it. But in our most recent production, Dead Reset, I did costume for that, and I also helped out with makeup and set design as well, just kind of painting the sets, and because it's all set in like an underwater facility, so everything's like dingy and gross.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it was really cool, like helping out and making everything look really grubby. So I was a lot more hands-on, and I've also been helping out with post-production as well on this project. So I've been helping assistant editing and subtitling and things like that. So I've kind of really got more involved with this one, which I've absolutely loved. Acting is definitely still my favorite thing to do, but I've really, really enjoyed being so involved in the production side of things as well. It's been a lot of fun seeing it all come to life. I think when you're helping with set design or costume, and then you get on set and see everything together, you're like, oh my gosh, it's worked. It's like everything looks exactly how you hoped. So yeah, it's great when it happens.
Do you see yourself maybe moving into directing at some point, or?
I've never thought about it. I don't know. I don't know how good I'd be at that. But you never know. We never say never, I guess. But
well,
yeah.
it's okay too. I mean, like if you really enjoy acting, like I said, you're really quite good at it. So I mean, you found your calling, I think. But sometimes I just see, men and women who are like, yeah, I've acted, but I kind of want to get behind the camera and see what that's like. Just never know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's so many talented people out there who are so multi-talented as well. So many of the actors I've worked with do multiple things. So it's exciting when you see them sort of spread their wings and try different things.
When it comes to the industry itself, is there anything that you'd like to see changed or improved upon in your mind?
Within the horror industry?
Well, within filmmaking in general.
Within filmmaking? I think it's definitely on the way up in terms of roles for women, I guess. That women aren't just the victims anymore, or the damsels in distress. There's a lot more badass female characters out there, and I think that's a lot of fun. And just seeing more female roles at the forefront as well. Having females carry films rather than, as I said, being the person that's being saved. So yeah, I think it's definitely on the right way up, I think, which is exciting.
Yeah, very good. Do you have a favorite scene that you've shot so far in your career? Like any particular moment that you thought, I really love this and how this went?
Yeah. So there's quite a lot in the new project, but annoyingly, I can't really say a lot about it. But that it's definitely, it's because it's an interactive movie. It's all about choice making. So there was a lot to film in that, and that's actually our first serious horror.
So this is like a choose your adventure type thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so creative.
So it's like
awesome.
an FMV style video game. So
I like that.
So yeah, it's our first serious horror. It's not a comedy. So there was a lot of fun stuff in that. I think with How to Kill Monsters, just anytime working with the extended cast is a lot of fun. So all of the stuff in the cells where kind of most of the cast were in there was a lot of fun to do. But then kind of cutting with the stuff we did in the cabin as well. I did enjoy sort of doing the nice Jamie stuff in the cabin and then flipping and doing the evil stuff and doing the two stories, where evil Jamie's sort of making the scene up to make it look like the monster's done it, but it was actually her. So that was fun to do. As I said, there's just so many because I think it's just a joy to be on set, and every day is just so different and so much fun. So I don't necessarily think there's one scene that sort of stands out more than the others, but I think there's a lot of memorable scenes in terms of, the scene where Jamie gets pulled into the slug. Probably the messiest thing I've ever had to experience, because I've
heard you talk about that a lot, where like you're just getting all this goo and blood all over you all the time.
It's unbelievable. We literally shot that. We had to, because we were filming in a studio, we had to be out by 6 p.m. and we started shooting that at 5:50. So we had 10 minutes to get that shot, and it was a one take go, because obviously once I was in there, I was covered. So yeah, they actually pulled me on the camera dolly by my legs to get the shot of me sort of being dragged in, and then we had to get another shot where I was sort of laying in the slug's mouth in just pools of blood and guts and gunk. And then they pulled me in by my legs, but I was just absolutely covered. Like my hair just was full of like black goo, and yeah, it wasn't great.
Are those, because I know that oftentimes in films they shoot things out of sequence. So is that something they would kind of leave for last because it is going to be like that whole messy moment?
Yeah, we shot that at the end of the day. But yeah, that was sort of like mid scene. It's what's interesting actually, because in terms of the layout of the shoot, so the cabin stuff that we did, we shot all of that in 1 week. So we shot the nice Jamie stuff in the cabin the first half of the week, and then we did evil Jamie stuff from the I think in the middle of the week. But I didn't actually play evil Jamie again until 2 weeks later. So it was quite cool going back into that character, but also having to film the end of the film in week 1 is also kind of strange when in your head you're thinking, right, okay, what has she done at this point and what hasn't she done? And
Right.
yeah, so that's always interesting to do because you're not sure. You're thinking, right, we need to make sure continuity wise, because that's always, especially with blood, the continuity of blood is always difficult, and it was something that I was very keen to make sure that we got right, because there's nothing worse than when you're watching a movie and there's a huge continuity error with blood, and it takes you out of the production almost, because you think, where's that come from, or where's that blood gone? So every day I had my own little pot of blood, and I was like putting it on my face to make sure it was exact. But yeah,
yeah, that would, because you wanted the continuity of it all, so like you wanted to look the same.
Yeah, and
Wow.
also keeping track of, as I said, what we filmed beforehand, because we could film a huge blood scene at the end of the shoot, but we could film scenes after that before we've shot the blood scene. So we're thinking, well, what will we kind of have to guess and then just predict where the blood's going to land and things like that. So it does come through a lot of planning. But I think How to Kill Monsters, I think I can't remember, it was about a 4-week shoot. I think I spent 2 days without blood on me, and that's not an exaggeration. Just 2 days. It was it was a lot.
Yeah, I hear that a lot with horror actresses. They're like, yeah, you might as well get used to it. You're going to be in blood like a lot.
100%. It's okay when they put it on you sort of behind the scenes. It's when they're shooting at you in camera, because they get this thing out called the blood cannon. I think that's what they call it. And they're always like, yeah, get the blood cannon out for Lyndsey. And they're literally stood like a meter away from you with this tiny little
Squirter.
cannon. Yeah, and they're like, right, close your eyes, but don't like tense up, because it's going to look weird in the edit. So you have to sort of be stood there as if nothing's about to happen, but then close your eyes, and then it's
I'm assuming like that scene you had where you're like taking the hammer to the one guy in the bed. I'm assuming that's kind of like that. It's like they're just squirting stuff at
yeah,
you.
it was like a little squirt gun. Yeah, so it was every time I put the hammer down, they would squirt it in my face. And if the blood doesn't land in the right place, like Liam, the director, was like, again, like just keep going. So that's yeah. It's a lot.
That's
It's
crazy.
something you can never get used to. I think a lot of time people say, oh, you're used to this now. And it's like, no, this is something you could never be used to. You're never used to getting blood thrown at you or shot in the face.
I believe it, because you got to sit there and you got to be in character, so you can't lose your concentration then. And you've got somebody just throwing stuff at
Literally.
you.
Yeah, and as I said, they're a meter away from you. You kind of ignore that they're even there. And it's always a fun day it's when they bring in the buckets of blood. And they've like 3-4 liters of blood, and they're like, this is going all over you. And I'm like, that's a lot. Why are you going to do that many? That's way too much. So yeah.
So in your experience now with working with your husband on films, has that kind of opened up the doors to work with other directors and stuff? I mean, I know you've done some films outside of that, but has that been like a big step for you to work with other people?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually got Eating Miss Campbell. Liam Regan, the director, saw me at the premiere of Book of Monsters, and he contacted me and said, hey, I think you'd be great to play Beth. And we were able to meet up and move on to that film, which was great. So it's always so lovely to be seen in a movie and for someone to go, oh, you'd be great for my film. And I'm always very, very honored when people ask me to be a part of their projects. And I did another movie last year that's like a ghost film, so that's not come out yet. And again, they'd seen me in How to Kill Monsters. So it's been really great to work with more and more people. So there's a couple of films that haven't come out yet that I've worked with that are outside of Dark Rift. So I'm excited for them to appear hopefully soon. Because it's always good fun working with new people, and a lot of them aren't comedies. Obviously, Eating Miss Campbell also was a horror comedy, but it's been great to do the kind of different ranges of films and performances.
Is there any actors that you're influenced by that you would like to work with down the road, like actors or actresses that you just like your dream casting, I guess?
So many. There's so many I look up to that I'm like, wow, they're incredible performers. For like Jodie Comer, Lana Priya, like Nicole Kidman, like just all these actresses that I'm like, wow, like I'm just, every time I watch their performance, I'm just in complete awe. Yeah, there's too many for me to, to name, but yes, off the top of my head, those three definitely stand out. Like Elizabeth Debicki in like The Crown was just unbelievable. So yeah, they're definitely like my four. Yeah, and then like Meryl Streep as well. There's too
kind of
many.
envision maybe seeing you work with maybe Simon Pegg or Nick Frost. I think that'd be so funny.
Oh my god! So Hot Fuzz is one of my favorite films. I love Hot Fuzz so much. It's like probably one like could be my favorite film. The great we quote that all the time. It's just that film. It's one of them films that every time I watch it, I'm just laughing constantly. And it's very rare that happens. I think a lot of time films you kind of they run their course. You know, they're still amusing, but you kind of like you just sort of titter or laugh or whatever. But Hot Fuzz it's just on another level.
That's how my wife and I, we do that all the time. Like, especially, you know, because Timothy Dalton is just an amazing actor. And like, it's so fun watching him in that. But yeah, the whole greater good. She even does that at work. She'll come back and says, I did it today. I was like, what? She's like, I was talking with a coworker and we started talking. I just spit it out. I said, the greater good. He did the greater good. And they knew what they were talking about.
It's great. Yeah, when they do it back, it's when nobody says it back. And you're like, with Timothy Dalton's, I always say, the local supermarché. I always say that. And it's when people are like, what? Yeah. It's like, come on. So yeah, I love Hot Fuzz. It's brilliant. So good.
I know you have a couple of films that you've done. Like you just said, you're doing Reset soon, at least getting it out. But you've done something called Run from Hell and All the Time. Can you kind of describe what your role is and what those movies are about a little bit?
Yeah, it's both of those films I have very, very small role. So I don't have so Run from Hell. I'm not sure when that's coming out actually, but my character appears at the beginning of the movie, so I can't really say too much because I don't want to kind of give it away. But so and then with All This Time, again, that one's like a time loop movie, and again, so you do see my character at the beginning, and then you do see towards the end as well. But that's just been on the festival run actually, so that was with Relic Films. So I did another movie with them which hasn't come out yet. Which was a lot of fun to do, and I have a big role in that one, which was really, really great to do, and it was great to work with them. I know Sean, the director of Run from Hell, I'm really excited to see that movie because I haven't seen Run from Hell yet actually, so I'm excited to see the edit come together. But I have seen the other movie that I was talking about, but as I said, they've not released a title or anything like that yet. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do that one, and I know that All This Time is a really great movie, and it was really great to work with the team again. So yeah, it's good. It's been good. It's been great to get an opportunity to play such different roles. It's just fun.
Do you look forward to the premieres of like seeing your films, or do you get nervous still kind of watching them?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think I get excited in the sense of seeing everyone, and I get excited about watching the film come together and to see everyone else's performances. For scenes that I wasn't there for, or just to see how the scenes that I'm in have been edited. But there's also, I get extremely nervous about my own performance. I'm really bad at watching myself.
I was wondering if you're going to be like your harshest critic.
I really am. I'm so bad. Really, really bad. We've been fortunate enough to have Book of Monsters, How to Kill Monsters, and Eating Miss Campbell actually all got their premieres at Fright Fest in London, and having the movie screened in Leicester Square in Cineworld was like a dream come true to see the films on that screen. And for How to Kill Monsters, the screen was sort of IMAX size. It was huge, and knowing the opening shot was this was quite nerve-wracking because I'm thinking that my face is going to be huge on the screen. But it's, as I said, because it's been such a dream of mine to be in movies, it never sinks in. It's always so exciting and so unbelievable to see our productions up on a big screen, and just to see audiences enjoying them, and and once it's over, having people come up to you and say that they enjoyed my performance and they enjoyed the film. It's it really is incredible to experience. So yeah, definitely a bit of both, but I get extremely nervous. Extremely nervous.
Well, I'm very happy for you in your career so far. I think you've done an amazing job. I want to definitely go and catch some of these other films that you're in because I just love your acting. I hope your future is bright. Look forward to, what's it called, Dead Reset, that's
Dead
coming out?
Reset, yeah. So it'll be out on out in September. So it'll be available on all gaming platforms. So it'll be on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Nintendo Switch. So
Awesome.
there'll be more release soon. There's a short trailer that's been released, but that's all that's out at the moment. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for that to come out because that's something completely different, and particularly that it's a game. It's completely new market.
That's actually good. I'm a gamer, not like a huge gamer, but I do play occasionally, so I'll be looking forward to getting that, especially for you, everything in there. So that's be fun, especially with like a choose your own adventure. That's a great concept for a game. So I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to sort of find out more about it, and just to play it. I'm very excited, nervous, but very excited.
Oh yeah. So do you have any other projects in the works, or?
Yeah, so Dead Reset's been the main one that I've been working on, just because I've been helping out with post-production as well. I have another movie that I'm hoping will be released at some point this year. I shot that at the end of last year, so I'm hoping that will come out soon. And in fact, actually, there's another horror movie that I worked on that I'm hoping again second half of this year it will be released. So yeah, there's definitely a few projects in line. So yeah, when I can start sharing them up, I definitely will. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Oh, awesome. Well, let everyone know where they can find you, like if you have a website or social media or whatever, just to kind of let them know what you, so they can keep updated on what you got coming. Just tell them what you have out there.
Yeah, so Instagram, just at Lyndsey Craine. So same on X as well on Twitter. So yeah, and then in terms of Dark Rift Horror, it's just at Dark Rift Horror if you want to follow the page for How to Kill Monsters and Dead Reset. You can find things through that. But yeah, just at Lyndsey Craine.
That's awesome. And yeah, everybody, please go check out her films. A lot of fun. They have a lot of great special effects in there. I can't praise you enough. Great actress. Love your work. Thank you again for sitting down with me. I much appreciated. For the rest of you, like and subscribe to the channel. Give me your comments. Have you seen these films? Let us know your feelings on them. And if you have not, check them out and then tell me what you thought. Lyndsey, hang around for a minute real quick. For the rest of you, see you next time on the Metal Time Radio Podcast.
Thank you so much.